Good evening and welcome all. My name is John McAndrew. I'm one of the spiritual counselors with Wilshire Hospice. We welcome you to our Light Up a Life. When I tell people that I work for Wilshire Hospice, quite often they may respond with something like, "Oh, I could never do that. Oh, that's just way too much." And I try to let them know that we don't do this alone. We work as a team, it's a community, and that's how we sustain ourselves. And that we really sustain ourselves with the stories. Yes, stories of death and dying, stories of wonder and awe, stories of amazement and hilarity. There's a certain kind of dark humor that comes with our hospice meetings. But there's an underlying story, maybe the truest story of all. And it's the story of the brevity of our life on earth. Being with family, loved ones at the end of life, caring for them on their end of life journey, acknowledging and facing our own fears as we do so, we're preparing for our own death. I may not say it that way or talk about it, but we are preparing for our own deaths. We're recognizing the brevity of the life we live. Let's listen to the poem. From the moment you were born, your death has walked beside you, though it seldom shows its face. You still feel its empty touch when fear invades your life, or what you love is lost, or inner damage is incurred. Yet when destiny draws you into these spaces of poverty, you are quietly befriending your death, so that you will have no need to fear when your time comes to turn and leave. That the silent presence of your death would call your life to attention, wake you up to how scarce your time is, and to the urgency to become free and equal to the call of your destiny. That you would gather yourself and decide carefully how you now can live the life you would love to look back on from your deathbed. Tonight, let's embrace this life, this light, this love, as we sustain ourselves with healing stories and reminders of our deepest connections and love.
Good evening. Light Up a Life is offered to us as a place each year during a very, very busy season to pause and remember our loved ones, both individually and also as a community. I invite you all here this evening to welcome in your memories. Welcome in the sad memories and the happy memories and all of those memories that lie between happiness and sadness. I hope that you will consider this time that we spend together this evening as a place that is safe. It's safe to experience your grief. It's a safe place to grieve together. It's a safe place for you also to experience the healing hope that we all have when we gather together here as well this evening. Tonight, we are going to honor our loved ones through music, through poetry, and through the speaking of their names. The names that we bring here tonight with us that we speak openly are going to gather those people that we miss together here in this sanctuary with us. Some of you are here, some of you here have given us photographs, and then we will have those photographs as part of our annual Faces of Love presentation. That will come after we have read the names. The names will be read this evening in 3 different groups. Those groups will be interspersed with poetry and song. I also would like to just apologize in advance for any of the mispronunciations of names that will inevitably happen when we try very hard to pronounce your loved ones' names appropriately. I just ask that you say a little prayer of forgiveness to all of those who mention your name and maybe mispronounce it just a tiny bit. They've been practicing, and we all want to do the best job we can, but we will fail. Afterwards, there will be hospice staff and volunteers about the room. If you need a little extra support, or you just feel like sharing some of those really precious stories that you have, seek out the hospice staff and volunteers, any of those of us who have spoken here tonight, and others that will be about the sanctuary will be available for that as well. Also, for those of you who are watching from home, watching remotely, we will be sure to leave you with our website address in case you want to contact us later on. I would like to now invite Hospice Spiritual Counselor Gregory Bernheisel to come up and begin our actual ceremony with our candle lighting.
Well, it's such a privilege to be a part of this again this year, and I would encourage you to get your candles out, and you can pretend like you're lighting them. You can get down on the bottom and turn on the candle. And if anyone's having a problem, you can raise your hand up and they'll bring you a new one, or if you didn't grab one, and they'll bring it to you. I found a great quote. It says, "Thousands of candles can be lighted from a single candle, and the life of the candle will not be shortened. Happiness never decreases by being shared." We're here tonight because of the lives that impacted ours. And just like John said about working in hospice, it's such a privilege to come alongside your loved ones, your family, your friends, those of you that are here. And we always say that it's a holy moment when we're with them. And that quote is by Buddha, and it reminds me of what happens when we're with another life when they pass. All of those memories stay with us, and that's what tonight is for, is to remember that and celebrate that.
One more hug, one last song. Funny how much I miss you, though you've been so long gone. One more day, one last song. Then I promise to go on living. I promise to be strong. There's an empty chair by the fireplace. Still I imagine you there. Little gray cat and a golden dog, dreaming without a care. They're dreaming of one more run, one last song. Funny how much they miss you, promise to go on loving. They promise to be strong. Maybe I'll work in the garden, tend the flowers by the windowsill. Sweet peas in a big blue jar, or climb in the trellis still. The day I dusted off your piano, putting the strings on my guitar. Wrote a song with a friend of mine, wished on a shooting star. I was wishing for one more hug, one last song. Funny how much I miss you, though you've been so long gone. One more day, one last song, then I promise to go on living. I promise to be strong. Wishing for one more hug, one last song. Funny how much I missed you, though you've been so long gone. One more day, one last song, then I promise to go on living. I promise to be strong. I promise to go on living. I promise to be strong.
I'm Laura DeHaven, one of the bereavement counselors with Wilshire. And this evening I'll be reading I Live Even as I Grieve. I am grateful for your life, even as I mourn your death. I laugh at the memories, even as I cry for those not made. I recognize the beauty in life, even as I experience its ugliness. I embrace hope and joy, even as my heart breaks. I live even as I grieve.
We're here tonight in memory of Rich Adams, Maureen Stanley, Don Hull, Ethel Sosna, Jesse Brandenburg, Carol S. Hoffman, Paul Michael Manny, Barbara Alexander Ashcraft, Regina Murphy, William D'Ambruso, Dennis Wilson, Scott Burdett, Kathy Stafford, Rebecca Ray Renford, Sarah Kochner, Jack Lanigan, Mary Lanigan, Alice Mannon, Robert Atherton, Bobby Atherton, Thomas Holgate, Catherine Mitchell, Paul S. Gordon, Chris Wells, Larry W. Fritz, Eudora Dory Bentley, Robert Copeland, Rose Slaughter, John Slaughter.
We remember Larry Cathery, Doris Eckhout, Charles Eckhout, Beverly Delmartini, Richard Morris, Margaret Eisen, James Doherty, Andrea Doherty, Zaf Iqbal, Penina Mortenes, Donald Mortenes, Don A. Mortenes, Jane Rice, Bob Rice Sr., and Bob Rice Jr., Marcia Ross, Patricia Beck, Bishop Rich Garcia, Dave Hendrickson, Richard Adams, Richard and Joyce Lesser, Orne Kirkwood, Jackson Anthony Wood, Dr. Robert J. McNeil, Mel King, Susan Bresney, David, James David, and Dad.
In memory of Mom, Melissa, Janet, Debbie, Matthew Gardner, Stephanie Brashaw, Jerry L. Frederick, Abe Kafuri, Burla Kafuri, Cheryl Kafuri, Bonnie Mallory, Sid McLean, Bobby McLean, Scott McLean, Phyllis Will, Annie Mackley, Lula Arnett, Raymond Hilgen, Sandra G. Anderson, Tyson Anderson, Nathan Booker, Rose and Henry Brazil, Richard Acton, Butch Brazil, Tom Brazil, Mike Brazil, Henry Brazil, Eleanor Garcia.
Hush, little baby, oh, don't you cry when worry and wanting awake you. They will soon fade away in a sweet lullaby as nurturing arms embrace you. Listen as Mama sings soft in your ear, a promise that all will be well. The words voice will still linger long after you hear the first of the stories we tell. Courage, my child, look up to the stars and welcome the light you're becoming. Your soul will unfold and you'll know who you are through all the confusion and fumbling. Whispers of wisdom resound in your dreams. The loudest of doubts cannot quell. Tomorrow is not quite as far as it seems, and it's yours in the stories we tell. Comfort, my brother, now don't you despair. Though grief never offers consoling, sorrow and joy always come as a pair to share in the tears that start rolling. Loneliness lands like a stone in your mind when you think of the love you once held. But love is never in vain, and it comes round in time. You will find in the stories we tell. Rest now, my friend, there is no call for fear. The hands on the clock are just slowing. Cares that once clouded your eyes start to clear as the door on this journey is closing. May you arrive in that sweet by and by to a promise that all will be well, knowing you've written a page in this life we recite in the stories we tell. Know you have written a page in this life we recite in the stories we tell.
When Great Trees Fall by Maya Angelou. When great trees fall, rocks on distant hills shudder. Lions hunker down in tall grasses, and even elephants lumber after safety. When great trees fall in forests, small things recoil into silence, their senses eroded beyond fear. When great souls die, the air around us becomes light, rare, sterile. We breathe briefly. Our eyes briefly see with a hurtful clarity. Our memory, suddenly sharpened, examines, gnaws on kind words unsaid, promised walks never taken. Great souls die, and our reality, bound to them, takes leave of us. Our souls, dependent upon their nurture, now shrink, wizened. Our minds, formed and informed by their radiance, fall away. We are not so much maddened as reduced to the unutterable ignorance of dark, cold caves. And when great souls die, after a period, peace blooms. Slowly and always irregularly, spaces fill with a kind of soothing electric vibration. Our senses, restored never to be the same, whisper to us, they existed. They existed. We can be and be better, for they existed.
In loving memory of Victor Dietel, Steve Fleming, Nancy Vidal, Jim O.J. Bailey, Thomas LaRosa, Terry Brazil, Indrajit Ghosh, Joshabin Nagyak, Bonnie Gates Wilkins, Evelyn Richardson, Ruth Rowland, Mary Bain, David Jungclaus, Ida Claire Day, Lainey Lesser Mark, Dr. Raymond Lesser, Dagmar Malkus, Mary Lou Irvin Woodkey, Margaret Scott, Lauren Haugen, Ruby Kibler, Gladys Bass, George Rowan, Gilbert W. Pitt, Gregory Dyer, Henry Nowinski, Irina Pfizer, Curtis Wetter, Bonita Wetter, Bob Young, Roy Gersten, Cecilia Campomora, Joe Campomora, Monte Williams Pendleton, Fred Clifford Huff, Shirley Huff, Luann Clark, Loretta Griggs, Alan E. Conkling, Doreen Utterbach, Danielle Goulart Miller, Arnold McLean, Gerald L. Jerry Smith.
In memory of Lorraine Boyd, Manuel Lucas, Mary Lucas, Norma Wilkerson, Rose Lobo, Alex Lobo, Vivian Oliveira, Ted Oliveira, Shannon Rusconi, Debbie Oliveira, Teresa Erickson, Edward B. Landrum, Kay Cott, Regina Murphy, Virginia Hemseth, Henry Mueller, Shane Balderston, Kay Thomas McGuire, Patty Pruitt, Rudy Xavier, Mo Soleiman Kani, Jim Doherty, Kathy Durham, Ethel Sosna, Robert Rice Jr., Robert Rice Sr., Jane Rice Jr., Masia Ross, Patricia Beck, Reverend Rich Garcia, Sheila Wells, Bernice A. Carolson, Fred Arnoldi, Madge Ditchy, Bob Gehring, Helen Gehring, Kenneth Colby, Merton Fuchs, Dennis R. Wilson, Mike Murphy, Carl Hassler, Mary Sturton, Wynne Sears, Barbara Robinson.
My body climbed all the mountains, my body swam all the seas. Now is coming the time to be set free. I've been thinking about the times that I stumbled, thinking about the times I tried. I don't want to be anywhere but by your side. Angels are calling, they're calling, they're calling me on my way. Baby, you know how I wish that I could stay. Grab a good hold of the earth with your toes, then you want to reach for the sky. Don't think twice, 'cause time will pass you by. Everywhere, look for me and I'll be there. Everywhere, look for me and I'll be there. Memories dance and linger between us like shadows on the wall. Stay with me as the night comes to call. Do not fear, I will be with you in the heartbeat of every day. And in the dying light, my soul will find its way. Everywhere, look for me and I'll be there. Everywhere, look for me and I'll be there. Look for me
I was supposed to read a poem about a journey, but there was a last-minute change of heart. Sorry, Steve. This poem is called For a Dancer. It celebrates the beautiful light in every life, whether that life is lived brightly and out loud or lived softly and quietly. To dance, by definition, is to perform a series of steps or movements, often to music. Some dancers perform before footlights to the music of applause. Dressed in sequin splendor, they bow and bow again amidst a shower of bouquets. Others dance more quietly, like my friend, who chose between the two. An easy choice, she said. In fact, she knew right away. On one hand, to move joyfully, beautifully, illuminated by stage lights, to receive the adoration of many from a distance. On the other, to take a hand quietly, to love and be loved up close and personal, up close and deep down, to the very core, to be illuminated from within. With kindness and grace, she built a family where none was before. And so her dancer's life touched and inspired. Perhaps she didn't know, because there were no footlights or spotlights, and silence met what should have been met with thunderous applause. Her series of steps or movements, performed with joy to music deep within, as step by beautiful step, she lived her life. We can recall the brightness, sunlight on a dew-kissed garden, moonlight on a mountain lake. The light in her eyes when she saw you, candles on her birthday cake, endless candles on endless cakes, what I would give for one wish more. Here is a light to her memory. Here's to her beauty and grace. Shine on with love and remembrance as we celebrate love in this place.
In loving memory of Ted Tucker, William Howard, Jeff Strasberg, Paul Michael Manny, George, Stuart Ascanis, Marlene Ascanis, Dan Cano, Vera Cano, P.R. Dave, Robert L. Hyde, Rose Gonzalez, John Gonzalez, Betty Foote, Robert Foote, Richard Gonzalez, Jose Ramirez Figueroa, Jose Ramirez Ciordia, Bob Levison, Carol Baker, Fred Goodall, Suzanne, Noel, Minka Gallagher, Kathy Loper, Jackie Kellett, John Kellett, Barbara Lee, Jack Lee, Jonathan Bergren, Mercedes Stevens, Louis Rutstein, and Katie Arndt.
We are here in loving memory of Dario Domangini, Faye Iron Eyes, Karen Dawes, Barbara Musso, Mari Golden, Blanca Freeman, Flo Pacheco, Tilly Pacheco, Kim Morrill, Ron Morrill, Robin Harris, Alan Shimko, Jesse Larson, Sheila Stolnire, Dan Cano, Vera Cano, Stacy Minnow, Thomas Martinez, Micah Martin, Brad Stevenson, Reed Blair, John Shilp, Michael J. Miller, Ken Colby, Mary Bain, Judith Parks DeFranco, Dorothy Dyer, Dan Hutchinson, Sid Bennett.
In loving memory of Sharon Baldwin, Tim Wakefield, Robbie Robertson, David Crosby, Marigold Donahue, Brianne Donahue, Dennis Collins, Betty Mano, Vernon Mano, Skip Mano, Busser Dyer, Kathy Loper, Minka Gallagher,
Anita Challoner, Laura Hoover Swall, Roy W. Hoover, Marie Johnson Domeland, John Parker, Agnes Evans, Eric Evans, Evelyn Richardson, Ruth Rowland, Louis Lovey Glick, Dorothy Dot Glick, Helen Crookshanks, Norman Crookshanks, Melinda Britz.
Memorializing is a worldwide practice whereby people preserve their relationship with their loved one through memories made evident in various rituals and ceremonies. Today, our ceremony is through photos. We share pictures, special pictures, sacred ones, that we call the faces of love. These photos hold our loved one's memory as we continue their legacy and continue to move forward with their love, our serenity, our acceptance, and their peace.
small words seem right now. I would like, before we start to close, I would like for us all just to, first of all, maybe take a deep breath. And then I would like to spend one more moment in silence among all this magic, all these magic images and these wonderful names. And as we sit in silence for just one last moment, I would like for you all just to acknowledge all of the names that maybe came to you during our time together tonight that weren't included on the lists, but that you remembered in your hearts and in your minds as we spent this time together. Just spend this time quietly remembering those names. If you want to even all whisper them out loud a little bit, I won't mind that either. So just for a moment, I'm going to ask you all, you can close your eyes, you can soften your gaze, but just for a moment, sit in silence in honor of all the names and images and all the people that have come to your mind this evening. And one more deep breath. Before I ask our spiritual counselor, Berkeley Johnson, to come up and close the ceremony tonight, I'd just like to thank you once more for coming out this evening and joining us here at the First Presbyterian Church in San Luis. And for those of you who are watching remotely from your homes or wherever you're watching us, thank you for joining us as well. I'd like to thank all of the Wilshire Health and Community Services staff and volunteers who participated in the ceremony tonight, who worked behind the scenes to bring this all together. I'd like to thank particularly Lisa Donnelly and Megan Prendeville, who kind of filled in at the last moment for some folks who couldn't make it this evening. Also to Ben Slocum and for streaming, and Daniel James for the sound this evening and for the visuals that you saw projected before us tonight. And for nature. I'd like for you all just to remember to take time for yourselves, take time for your memories, take time for your grief, and take time for your healing this time of year, when it can be so distracting and so difficult to find that time. If you need a little bit of extra support, I suggest that you give our counselors a call at our Center for Grief, Education, and Healing. They are going to be here for you not only now, but any time of year, throughout the year. For any grief support services, hospice services, and all of our Wilshire community service programs, I ask you to, for those of you who are viewing remotely, you can check into our website, wilshirehcs.org. And I again want to finally just thank you again, those of you who are here this evening, for coming out and spending this time with each other, spending this time with us. And I thank you so much for the heart and the love that you've brought us all here tonight. Berkeley?
In this season, as the days get shorter, and as things get increasingly darker earlier, let us remember that we are a light to others. That's right. In the midst of our own grief and loss, we are often a light to others when we come together to grieve and mourn. When we allow ourselves to be vulnerable. When people see us persevering in the face of grief and loss. And when others see that we are still quite capable of sharing and embracing the joy that we experience in our lives. So as we go forth from this place, strengthened by the light that we have encountered here, let us remember not only to light up the lives of those in our realm, but also to allow the light of others to shine in and brighten our lives as well. Amen.